Dead Draw Gaming. Like no one ever was.
And we're back for round 3 of the Madison Regionals. Ryan, how are you feeling? How you doing?
I'm feeling hyped.
All right, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. All right, now we have 2 players on this stream. They're both 1-1. We have Evan Bosse versus Yihui Zhu.
Have we heard of these players before?
I have not. They're pretty new players, and I think that's pretty cool because, like, sort of like me, like I sort of like actually started coming to these big events for VGC 17. So like getting to see players in a similar situation, seeing how they improve, I think is really great.
We got some time to catch up with these players, and we got to know them a little bit and find out who they are. Evan is a recently graduated zoologist from the University of Green Bay, so he's a local to this area, and he's been playing Pokemon competitively since 2016. Yihui just started playing Pokemon this May, so he's a brand new player here on stream, and the best part about this is they're both 1-1. A critical round in this tournament where if one of them loses, they're going X2. So this is a really big game for both players.
I think so too, because we'll also be tracking these people as they go on. Now, these teams look pretty interesting, if I do say so myself.
They do, yes. We're about to show the teams on stream in just a moment, but you know, before we show them, I just got to say, Pat, it's been a pleasure so far seeing everyone come onto stream. I really want to thank everyone who's been tuning into our Twitch chat, keeping that active, doing all that. We love it. We love it so much. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it.
Twitch chat, you're awesome.
You are awesome, Twitch chat. Go Twitch chat. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hype. Ha. Anyways, so we are going to be tuning over to that screen in just a moment. But these players are both rocking very interesting teams. So here we are. All right. Here is our transition. Ooh, spicy
Evan
teams.
Bosse running a hard Trick Room team with Blastoise, Vikavolt, Mudsdale, Mimikyu, Dusclops, one of your favorite Pokemon, and Drampa. Now, I like to refer to Dusclops as Peter Clopsentail, Clopsy for short. I love it. But we gotta make this note. Yihui is running a very standard team, but that Latios though. That's you just gotta interesting.
You just gotta point that out. I mean, you don't see that very commonly. What do you think they're gonna be starting, Pat?
I don't know. I think from Yihui, we're probably gonna see a lead with most likely either Incineroar or Landers to get the Intimidate off, and also have some fake out pressure as well. And we could also see a Coco lead to Volt Switch out into safety.
Absolutely. I think that Yihui has a huge advantage here with that Celesteela. As long as he can maneuver around that Vikavolt, that wall of a Pokemon could be a problem for Evan. But I will say, Evan, if he can get the Trick Room up, which that Mimikyu usually can, I think that he has the advantage in speed control.
Now, you are a very, your playstyle is very much Trick Room. What do you think Evan will lead in this match?
So I know Dusclops can also learn Trick Room. Dusclops is probably carrying an Eviolite in order to boost its defense and special defense. That's just my guess. Now, the Mega on this team is probably going to be that Blastoise. That's the only possible Mega. If it is running the Mega Stone, we'll just have to find out once the game starts. Time is almost up here. If I were to predict a lead, I would say that I want to get that Trick Room up as soon as possible, but watching out for that taunt. So you just have to wonder, is that Mimikyu holding a Mental Herb in order to not be taunted?
I think that's very, very... That makes a lot of sense, Ryan, because especially Mimikyu's Disguise will most likely allow it to get a Trick Room up for Evan.
And the game has begun. Both players have locked in. Let's see what they start with. And that Xurkitree plush just standing tall between both players.
Man, that Xurkitree strutting its stuff, you know?
Absolutely.
Show the influence. Like, if Nixafrank was here, he'd be loving this.
I know, which he is. Nixafrank is here at the tournament today, so... Yeah, I'm very curious what both players are going to start here. I would love to see this Dusclops and Latios come into action, but honestly, I'd also love to see this Celesteela, you know?
I personally would love to see Vikavolt. I have not seen Vikavolt in a long time, and I just want to see how it does.
Pogs and Doppelganger come onto the field. We see the Blastoise Mimikyu start, so a possible fake-out option from that Blastoise. And we see the Coco, and the King has returned.
The
All hail.
Wrestler is here. All right.
Absolutely.
We see the Electric Surge coming out from Coco as well.
Yeah, so that Coco has the speed advantage on the field, being one of the fastest Pokemon right now. That Mimikyu could get the Trick Room up and definitely pose a problem for that Coco. And just a little bit of a technical difficulty here, and we're back.
All right, now, I do believe that Incineroar will have to fake out that Blastoise, and it will most likely outspeed if this is a 100% Trick Room Blastoise.
You have to wonder, is this a faster Blastoise, or is it a Trick Room Blastoise? Let's find out.
All right, now, I have to say, that Coco may be carrying Taunt as well, so that does bring into question, will this Mimikyu be holding a Mental Orb, or is it possibly a Z move?
Absolutely. It looks like the players have just started to put in their moves now. You know, Pat, I'm not sure. I'm very curious what Evan is holding in the back here for this team. The Mudsdale would be a great option to switch in, definitely, if he can get the Trick Room up against that Coco and that Incineroar.
That's actually very true, because if he swaps out that Blastoise to preserve, will we see the Mudsdale? Because if he gets hit with a Fake Out, he will get a stamina boost, buffing his defense by 1 stage.
And it is the Mudsdale, yes,
all right.
Muddy Mudsdale, baby.
Full switch, not affecting it, and we see the Taunt.
Will we see the Mental Herb? And
Mental
Herb for the win.
All right, that Trick Room is getting off.
Yes.
All right. Now I think Evan has the slight advantage here, getting Trick Room up with the very slow Mudsdale, being able to threaten both the opponent's Pokemon.
Absolutely, but something to keep in mind, is Yihui holding a Landorus in the back to get an Intimidate off on that Mudsdale? That would be catastrophic to its attack stat.
Now, one thing to note, that the Incineroar did not Fake Out. If he had Fake Out into where the Mudsdale was, he would have gotten a defense buff, making it so much harder to take down.
That was a great predict from Evan Bosse. That switch in was just perfect. It makes it so the Coco just can't leave the field and get off some free damage.
That's true. Will we see a Protect or a Hard Swap? We see
the switch out. Evan, definitely a switch out kind of guy. And we see the Drampa, Snoop Dogg, coming onto the field. The switch out.
The switch is happening. Let's see what we get. We see
Landorus. Yep, there it is.
We see two Kings of VGC on one side of the field, getting the Intimidate drop.
Will we see a ground type attack into that Lando? Did Yihui predict?
Or was there we see high horsepower into the
Incineroar, predicting that switch out.
Doing a clean 50%
wow.
And a
Even
knockoff.
At an Intimidate, it did so much damage.
Knockoff into Drampa. Let's see what item.
Magoberry Drampa.
Now, if it had done a little bit more damage, Evan would have had his Drampa get the Berserk boost, giving it a +1 in special attack.
Yes, crazy ability from Drampa. What's it do, Pat?
Well, when you get under 50%, you get a special attack increase. So it makes Drampa a very threatening mon if it goes below 50%.
Understood. Well, maybe he can get it off if he can survive. Now, this Incineroar and Landorus on the field. Oh, Incineroar switches out. Into the Celesteela. There's the wall. Will we see another ground type attack?
High horsepower. All right.
Yihui taking advantage
Ice Beam coming out. Will we see? Is this an AV Landorus? It is not.
It is not. Oh, that Lander is just not bulky enough to take that Ice Beam from the Drampa. You know what they say, Grandpa sometimes can learn new tricks, and this Drampa?
Well, yes, son. I believe an Ice Beam was quite effective on that.
Wow, that was a great voice.
Why, thank you.
Incineroar returning to the field, getting another Intimidate off onto that Mudsdale. Mudsdale's attack, basically nothing right now. All it really has going for it is that defense stat.
That actually makes me think. That Mudsdale is at -2. Is he trying to weaken its attack so when Mudsdale attacks that Incineroar, it'll pop a possible 50% berry?
Ooh, that is a good point, Pat. Maybe there is a berry on that Incineroar. We're just going to have to find out. So far here, we have seen, I think all of Yihui's Mon's been revealed.
That is very true.
Revealed, yeah. Mudsdale returns, and out comes Blastoise. Will we see?
Well, we've seen all 4 Mons from both sides as well, so now we're just seeing how they maneuver. We see the Fake Out coming out and the Berserk activating.
Will we see another Ice Beam? Oh!
Heavy Slam coming out. Who will it go into? Will it go into the Drampa? It does.
It will, yeah.
Picking up the knockout.
Absolutely. Yihui looking at the field and saying, this is my current threat right now. What do I need to do to get it out? And a double target is just the thing he needed to do. Absolutely. Well, both are tied up now, 3-3. That Blastoise on the field right now does have the advantage over that Incineroar, but Mimikyu coming back out, that Trick Room should not be lasting much longer, Patrick.
That's very true. And also the Blastoise can pressure with a possible Fake Out onto either of Yihui's Mons.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now the thing here, it's turn 5, so I think Trick Room is about to give out after this turn. That Celesteela, honestly can take anything from Evan's side. So Evan's going to have to find a way here to maneuver and try to knock out that wall.
That's true. Now the question is, will we see a Leech Seed coming out from Yihui's side as he tries to play a stall game? Or will he simply go for a support for something like possibly a Wide Guard effect from a possible Water Spout?
That is a good question, Patrick. Will we see the Leech Seed? I don't know. I'm hoping that there is one. That would make the wall even more. Oh,
Seed Bomb!
Seed Bomb!
Is this an offensive Celesteela going into the Mega Blastoise?
Wow.
That does a lot of damage. Aura Sphere coming out, probably going straight into, it goes into the Coco slot where the Incineroar used to be. And we see...
Trick Room is now gone. That Mimikyu still at full health, so it still has its disguise. So it could still put up a Trick Room.
That's also very true. And note that the Electric Terrain has also disappeared, meaning that Tapu Koko won't be hitting as hard as it was before.
Sadly not, but that T-Bolt I think would be enough to knock out that Blastoise.
That is for sure, Ryan. Now, let's see. What would you do as a Trick Room player in Evan's position?
In Evan's position right now, I would be feeling the heat and the pressure. I don't think that Mudsdale is going to be able to do too much against that Celesteela. But, you know, if I were him, I'd be trying my best to knock out that Celesteela to the best of my ability. And it looks like we're going to get the switch here into the Mudsdale. Electro Web. Ooh, not a very common move on Tapu Koko, but it definitely is helpful, and we'll get the KO on that Mega Blastoise. Electro Web, what does that do again, Pat?
Well, Electro Web, it gives a -1 speed to both of its targets, and it's very useful. And you see that he did that so he could pick up the knockout on that Blastoise and break the disguise on the Mimikyu.
Absolutely, it was a great move from that Tapu Koko. Not one we see too commonly, but when we do see it, it's a great play. It's a very similar move to Icy Wind in a sense.
That is very true. Electric Icy Wind. Now, will we see the same play from Yihui going for a possible like Electro Web to break the disguise, and then a Heavy Slam from the Celesteela?
Absolutely, Patrick. I think that this Celesteela is probably the biggest problem for Evan's team. That Heavy Slam, the Seed Bomb, just really ram into almost everything Evan is running. And I don't know if I have too much hope left out for this game, but you know, in VGC, you always got to believe and to keep going.
That's very true. Now the thing is, if this Mudsdale can knock out this Koko, it may have the upper hand, since getting a constant defense buff.
Now this Mudsdale is 2 times stamina, and the disguise was just broken on Mimikyu, and we get the KO on that Mimikyu as well. It looks like EP is going to be taking this first game here. But Evan could still, you know, keep playing with that Mudsdale.
He just has to trust his mighty steed to carry him to victory.
Absolutely.
We see a Rock Slide hitting both Pokemon, not picking up any KOs. Let's see how Evan will play out of this, or if he decides to go for to preserve any information that he does not want to give up.
It looks like he's going to keep going, Pat. But you know, if I was Evan in this circumstance, I think I want to roll it back. And honestly, I think bringing that Vikavolt to handle with that Celesteela is a great play. He has no problem taking out that Landorus. We do see the switch in from the Incineroar, getting another attack drop off on that Mudsdale.
And here comes the Seed Bomb, going to deal some pretty massive damage onto... Oh, it lives on
at one. Oh my gosh, that Mudsdale.
Defense buff. We see the 50% berry.
The berry.
Oh my god. Now, I don't want to say anything too hasty, but I think Evan does have a fighting chance here. We see the high horsepower KOing the Incineroar.
That Incineroar's gone. I do want to say this, Patrick. That Seed Bomb next turn, I'm sorry, is going to be doing a ton of damage to that Mudsdale, and I don't think it can keep up.
That is very true. What he has to do is like get really lucky.
Yes.
But like you said, I don't think that Mudsdale can hit that Celesteela hard enough to knock it out.
Yeah, so as I was saying before, Vikavolt is, I think, a must for next round if Evan wants to try to get around that Celesteela. Yihui has done a fantastic job here of switching in and out. I mean, for a new player that started in May to know about this much in VGC and basically positioning his Pokemon to what he needs, it's really impressive.
That is very true.
That stamina boost happening again. The defense on this Mudsdale is just insane now.
Unfortunately, we did not see the Dusclops, which I know you were very excited to see.
I know, I want Peter Klopsentail to show up on screen, but there's another game.
I mean, I was really hoping for that Latios, because I'm very curious what it's going to do, because if it's either a dual Mega with Gengar, or maybe it's just a full-on support Latios.
Absolutely. You just have to wonder, who is the Mega on Yihui's team, because we didn't get to see one this game. It's not too often that someone doesn't use a Mega in their game.
That's very true.
And Yihui picks up the first win here in this first set of games. Evan, I think Evan just needs to really get that Celesteela off the field.
That's very true. He had a lot of momentum going in, being able to set up the Trick Room easily, especially with that mental herb on Mimikyu.
Yeah, Pat, you know what I've been noticing today with the matches? People taking advantage of Intimidate. I mean, it is just so good.
Yeah, just being
so
able
good.
to switch in that Pokemon and get an instant attack drop. It's strange that they haven't come out one for special attackers.
I know, we haven't really seen a Melodic or a Defiant Bisharp or anything like that today on stream yet, so hopefully maybe later on we'll see something like that.
Yeah.
But for right now, it looks like we're going to be getting back to the second game here as both players are readying up. What do you think Yihui's going to do?
I believe, since Yihui seems to have a very fast, hyper-offensive team, he's going to bring the Celesteela in the back, because that's if the Trick Room gets up, that is one of his win conditions. Because there isn't many things on Evan's team, besides the Vikavolt, that can hit it very hard.
Oh, Evan's already locked in.
He knows, maybe he adapted, or he's going for the same lead, since it worked out so well in the early game.
Absolutely. Both players have locked in. Game 2 is about to start. Pat, I don't know about you, but I'm excited.
I'm very excited. If, like you said earlier in this, the winner of this goes 2-1, and the other person will be X2. So it'll be very tough because it'll impact the future games.
Yeah, round 3 is usually a very crucial round for anyone who's X1, because it means that they gotta kind of win out, you know?
That's true. We see Incineroar Coco coming out from Yihui, pressuring with that fake out and a possible Volt Switch.
Doppelganger and Snoop Dogg coming onto the field.
All right. We do see the Electric Surge. Now, what do you think about the Drumpo lead here?
It's a very interesting lead. I would be worried about that Coco, because I believe we did see the Dazzling Gleam.
That is
and Drampas do not like taking Dazzling Gleams. For as much defense as they do have, I wouldn't want to take one if I was that Drampa.
Unfortunately, this is not a weakness policy Drampa, which would have made a special attack skyrocket. But
yeah, Pat. You know, we're just going to have to see what happens here, but yeah.
Right. I believe that Yihui may just go for a safe play, probably a Volt Switch or an Electro Web, and as well as a Fake Out as well. Because if we see the Dazzling Gleam come out from the Coco, no Fake Out coming out from his side.
Wow,
the
instant. The crit! Oh. The crit on Snoop Dogg. Wow, that is just an unlucky turn 1 for Evan.
And it may have mattered depending on the EVs on that Drampa, but I mean, if that's a max special attack Coco, it would have been very hard to take that attack.
Knock off. Oh, just doing the damage. Knocking off that Mental Herb, but Trick Room coming up onto the field. Will we see the Mudsdale coming in from the back? I would hope so. I think it'd be a great mon to pull out right now.
That's very true. Now, Evan did immediately just lose him on turn 1, but he still has a chance since he does have the speed advantage right now.
And there is the Mudsdale, Money Mudsdale coming onto the field. Mudsdale not intimidated by that Incineroar, but will we possibly see a Landorus switch into that Incineroar or Tapu Koko slot?
That's very true. If he has a Landorus in the back, that means Evan can't freely fire off high horsepowers without fearing a wasted turn. So he's probably going to go for a safe Rock Slide just to deal consistent damage.
And there is the Vikavolt. Great call from Evan. He needs this to handle with Celesteela. Coco switching out into Landorus. And there it is.
-1. All right.
Yes.
Like we said earlier, both kings are currently on the field.
Absolutely. Landorus returns to the field. Will we see the high horsepower?
High horsepower into the Coco slot. Not affecting that Landorus. And we see Flare Blitz. Did he predict correctly?
Going into the Vikavolt. Instant kill
gosh.
right there. Vikavolt obviously being weak to fire.
Now, that was a really great call on Yihui's part. In case if a Vikavolt swapped in, he would be able to take it out. But if the Mimikyu stayed in, he would deal massive damage as well.
Sadly, Evan losing his Drampa and Vikavolt like that in 2 turns, it really does do a lot to a team, and it's one of the downsides, honestly, of playing hard Trick Room. You know, sometimes high offensive teams like Yihui's can really take you out.
That's very true. Even if they are very fast and offensive, if they can just power through all of your mons, it's unfortunate.
So we do see the Rock Slide from the Mudsdale. Will we see the flinch? We will not see the flinch, and that Flare Blitz is going to come out, hitting that Mimikyu, and it is enough to kill. Evan down to one Pokemon now.
You see the Landers actually flinch.
Oh, wow.
So, unfortunately, this is very unfortunate for Evan being 1 against 4. Mudsdale will need a miracle to pull this out. And if Yihui has the Cell Seal in the back, that'll be very tough for him to win.
I agree, yes. If there was a Celesteela in the back, this Mudsdale might be having to call it a day, and there's the Rock Slide once again. You know, if I was Evan, I'd just be praying for Rock Slide flinches or crits, you know?
That's very true. That's one way you can try to win this. We see the 50% berry.
There's the berry. The King's always got a berry on his side.
And we see the flinch onto the Incineroar, and we see Ground DMZ on the Landorus.
Wow, Ground DMZ Landorus. Not something we see too often right now, but for a high offensive team like this one, I'm not surprised.
I mean, seeing as how this will be dealing massive damage, seeing as how this Mudsdale does not have any stamina buffs yet.
That is very true, Pat. This is gonna really hurt this Mudsdale. You know, it's gonna take a pounding in the grounding, if you know what I mean.
I mean, seeing as how that Landers at Ground DMZ, which you said wasn't very common, that's a very unexpected move.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected the Ground DMZ, although, you know, if you look at this team and ask yourself who has the Z move, it could be the Landorus, you know, or it could be the Coco, you know, in all honesty. Avoiding the attack, okay, Rock Slide missing. There's the Flare Blitz.
Going in, dealing a decent amount of damage, getting another stamina buff.
Yes, this Mudsdale is putting up a fight. No doubt about that. U-turn coming out from that Landorus. Probably going to be switching out into that Celesteela if I had a guess.
That's a very logical choice, Ryan. Or he may just wait for the Incineroar to go down just so he can get Tapu Koko in freely so he can hit Mudsdale on the special side, ignoring those defensive buffs.
And we do see the tanky Celesteela come onto the field.
And the Trick Room runs out as well.
I think time might have run out for this Mudsdale.
It's very unfortunate that Evan was not able to recover from that trap pinch he was in, you know?
Absolutely. Whoa, someone's a little punny today.
Well,
Whoa.
I can't help myself.
Oh, the switch out from the Incineroar. Is this the Landorus?
It is a Landorus, making sure that if there was any high horsepowers, it would not affect either of his Pokemon.
Absolutely. Seed Bomb coming out from that Celesteela, probably going to be getting the knockout.
And
no!
Those stamina buffs really coming in handy, showing you how really useful Mudsdale is in these situations.
That high horsepower not doing anything to these Pokemon though, because they're both flying types. So we haven't really seen any other moves from this Mudsdale, have we, Pat?
We've only seen high horsepower and Rock Slide coming out, and it was holding the 50% barrier.
Okay then, so at this point, you know, you just gotta keep spamming Rock Slide or...
Well, the Trick Room's out, so he no longer outspeeds. And so, will this Earthquake... No.
Wow, Mudsdale just taking these hits like a champ. If I know one thing about this Trick Room team, is that it does not go down without a fight. Mudsdale falls, the ground shakes, and the game is over. Yihui has picked up the victory in this set. Wow, what a series.
I mean, I was excited because I'm always very excited to see a Hard Trick Room team just because that's not my playstyle. And seeing how people maneuver around that, I think is very cool.
Absolutely, Patrick. Hard Trick Room is not something that we see very often, and it can be beat by a lot of what's going on in the meta right now, but it's a great thing to try, and it's a great thing to run. So we're going to be back real soon for you. We're going to be bringing Yihui here onto the stream and ask him a couple questions and have him meet you guys. But just to let you know, I'm going to be plugging this. After round 4, I'm going to be doing a live episode of my YouTube series, How to VGC, with a couple of the casters here. So stay tuned when we go into lunch, but we'll be right back with Yihui.
All right, guys, welcome back to our player interview. Here we have Yihui Zheng, who you just saw on stream win the match. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Awesome, awesome. So, like, what kind of like thought process did you have, you know, when you were assembling this team for this region?
For this team, I got inspired from a great player from the Chinese forum called Jolly Bralun. It is a great forum where great players share their experience, and I got experience from other amazing players.
That's very cool. I always like those online communities where you can actually grow and hone your skills and get like input from very notable players to improve your team building skills.
Yeah.
Now, what was your thought process behind the match, like maneuvering around Trick Room, since you had a very fast, highly offensive team? So, what was your plan?
Well, the play that I was originally gonna use in this team was to use Icy Wind in both Gengar and Latias to reduce the speed of the opponents. But since today Ivan's team was actually using Trick Room, so this team was actually not very good against the Trick Rooms, because the only thing against Trick Room is the taunt of the Incineroar, and it was deactivated by the Mental Herb.
Yeah.
So I think it's really lucky for me to win this game, especially my opponent was using a Trick Room team.
Yeah.
So I didn't play the things that I was planning to do, actually.
Well, that's very cool. You maneuver, both you and Evan, you maneuvered greatly, and those crucial predictions in Game 2, being able to knock out that vehicle, you threatened your Celesteela so much. That was very crucial.
Thank you.
All right. So, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to, before we wrap this up?
Well, I would like to thank all the Chinese players for sharing me not only me, but sharing other players that are still in progress with their great experiences. This is only my second regional championships.
Oh, nice.
So I would like to thank all the guys from Jolly Bralum Forum for helping me with this team. Thank you. 谢谢.
All right. Well, that was Yihui Zhu. I wish you luck on your next match, and
Thank you.
maybe we will see you in Top Cut.
Well, I hope.
All right. We'll be right back for round 4 after a little break. So stay tuned.